saw a need, families coming through the door, no money, no heat. And for me, there are two things that just are absolutely unacceptable. One is hunger, the other is being cold. So the seniors started this fundraising adventure where we started with a breakfast. And we were able to establish 4 years ago the emergency fuel fund. And primary consideration is given to seniors and also families with young children. So that if somebody in the dead of winter has run out of fuel, they're able to come to the senior center, and through a very simple screening process, we are able to authorize a fuel delivery, minimum fuel delivery to that family or that person, so they're not at risk of freezing. Now, to date, I want to say we are approaching easily $75,000 over the past 4 years that we've been able to provide, and that is no town funds. That is simply through donations and fundraising that the seniors do, and this is what they do for their town. So we're very, very proud of that venture. What else? Yes, we are looking to expand. There's a great need. We have this very primitive system, sign-in system, and we're looking to go modern at some point. When you come into the center for any type of program, activity, lunch, anything, we have a spiral bound notebook, and everybody just signs in. And we've watched it grow through the years, and consistently it has increased. And through counting those signatures on a monthly basis, we're coming up with consistently well over 12,000 signatures a year. So we are a very, very active center, and it's, I like to call it one-stop shopping. There isn't anything that you can come in and ask for that if we're not able to provide it, we will certainly find you the resources to get you everything that you need. So that's the senior center.
Any questions of Tina? And Tina always says this to me, but I'll say it to her, it's the speed of the leader, and she does so much with so little that I think you set the bar so high that to me, it's tough to ever challenge, I don't know, I'm just amazed every time you go over there. The seniors are happy, they're engaged. If Tina went in front of the seniors today and said, we have this in town and we need to do this, they will get together and participate and solve the problem. And so, again, back to the leadership that you do.
Well, thank you. Well, we've got a great group over there. We really do.
And, and actually, I challenge any of the board members, different commissions, talk to Tina. Go in and there's different times that they have gatherings. I'm sure they would welcome anyone, any board or commission to go in, Tom or anybody, to go in and explain what you do for the town. I think they'd enjoy that.
Absolutely.
So.
The other thing that I'd like to point out too is that yes, Stuart is a member. But the other thing I'd really like to point out, because it's pretty near and dear to me, and it has become with the seniors also, is the whole theme of intergenerational programming. We do a yearly, sometimes twice a year, we do a program with Little Log Schoolhouse where they bring the students in, the students will sing to us, and then they'll break off into groups, and the seniors will read to the children. We have the middle school jazz band coming in May to perform at the center. We frequently have interns, students, the career path students who need community service. They come into the center, and we provide that for them. And that's always a pretty interesting program. Paul Smith, he did come in to talk to the seniors about the education budget a couple of months ago, and we had arranged last week or 2 weeks ago. We took a group of seniors, they're kind of students, my students. We took them up to the elementary school, and we had an hour-and-a-half tour through the school, active classrooms, with about 10 of the seniors, small groups. They were able to see the lunch program. I know that sound.
It's not snowing out, don't worry.
But we really try to reach out. And Ryan, we try to do a bit with you. We do the intergenerational youth.
They want to do a field day Olympics for seniors.
We're looking at doing field day Olympics with the seniors in September. And for the bicentennial float, but we're looking to do something in combination with the youth center, so.
Well, I wanna sign up to be Steve's partner for that day. Steve, me and you.
Partners?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tina, you do a lot. Any other questions for Tina? Thank you.
Actually, just a couple other things I know she does that are part of the changing world. And that is it's become more elder abuse, and she's able to identify that and help with that. And also, the scams that go on, people know they can go and talk to her, or if it seems too good to be true, it usually is, and that's huge. And I don't know that a lot of people in the community know that that's something she does, and it really helps the community a lot.
Sadly, it's a lot with protective services, it's more than I care to, admit, but it's a reality. And, you know, we try to see everything through this.
We had Mr. Schwartz in there this year from Better Business Bureau.
Yes, we did.
He came down.
On
and
scans.
Yeah, scans for
If it's out there, I'm gonna educate them on it.
Isn't
Tomorrow.
she the tip of the spear for any veterans in town?
Well, yeah, I've been trying to help the veterans too.
Good point.
Tina helps the world, and she's my guardian angel when I have an issue in town with apartments and living quarters and people that are in immediate need of immediate care. She's the lady I go to for guidance and assistance. I hear it over and over and over again, but the theme in this room is everybody's here to help everybody. And if you think they don't, you're not listening. I hear it, I see it, the people I talk to on a daily basis, we may argue, but the work gets done, and it gets done correctly.
I just want to say to Tina just quickly, because it sounds like we're really memorializing Tina. You're great. And so.
No, I love what I do.
No, I know you do. You're infectious when it comes to that. So let me just say this. The first time you brought me out from the field to go check on somebody, we went out to a lady's, mobile home, and she was out of fuel, and, turned the camera off. And basically, we went there, and she started telling me and Tina how her daughter was in the club. Work it out with the Norwich, Cemetery. They ended up burying her, correctly?
They did marry me.
And that was the efforts of what she did, and personally, to Fred's point, that's how it gets done. So, I just want to share that story. That's a pretty moving story to me. But we were scared when she said that, I will be honest. I didn't know what we were dealing with in the class. But, anyways, thank you, Tina. Mike, you're important here, because you're part of something that just kicked off.
I'm not on any board.
No, but you're important about some information sharing, and I think it's important for everyone to know that you're sitting in the room.
Oh, okay. My name is Mike Minarski. Some of you know me, some of you don't. And I started a radio station about 6 months ago called Wolverine Radio. And we have a website called mygriswold.com. The people that are involved with this project work very, very hard to try to provide local news and information to this community, Druid City, Griswold, and also Plainfield. If anybody has any kind of information or press releases or anything, I can certainly give you my contact information. We love to report on it. It's newsworthy. Whatever it might be. I really don't know what else to say.
No, you did good. And if anyone has any questions,
And that's Dane, and he helps out a lot, especially when he comes to meetings, and he tapes and does stuff. But it's really kind of, it's really just us, you know, within the family and everything that kind of does it. We have people from across the country that are on-air personalities. Have you all heard of us yet?
Yes.
Okay. And support us by listening to us and commenting on our pages, anything like that. You know, any kind of interaction is always great. If you want to visit, let me know. We'll advertise you. We'll talk about that later. I guess that's really it. But we really, any kind of information, you know, we really could use it. When you talk about information sharing, I try to show up to as many meetings as I can. And here's another thing, that if anybody knows anybody that may be interested in helping out and doing news stringing or reporting, it would be extremely helpful. Very, very helpful. So, that's it. Mike.
Now, Mike, I just wanna say, that's as much volunteering as everyone else does. Starting what he's doing as a business model from scratch, and I've sort of been, talking with Mike along the way. The amount of time and energy he puts in is amazing, so we wanna see you succeed. I personally think it's a big economic boost for our town, social and you know, just community, so keep doing the good work. Thank you. Any other questions for Mike that, you see we have? Rob?
Rob Surratt, Vice Chairman, Wetlands Commission, Aquifer Protection, which Cortland has already spoken to. Recently appointed to the Senior Center Building Committee, which Everett has already spoken to. I'm good.
You're a good loyal volunteer, thank you. Does anyone have any questions of that short presentation? You good?
We're good.
Steve, sir.
Yes, well, I wanna pick up on what Fred Mazick said. We have a lot of good people in this town, with a lot of experience and do a lot of good work in all the boards and commissions. And I do believe that we are all working together as a community. And, I think some communities get divided up on issues, but I think we've been able as a community to stay pretty much united, and as people who are involved in town government, I think we do a pretty good job in getting the work done. And I'm particularly pleased with the progress that we have made in this administration as a member of the Board of Selectmen. We've taken on a bunch of issues and we've moved them forward, and we're continuing to move them forward. I think we have a good board. We don't always agree, and we don't always want to agree. It's not the way the world is, but we generally talk things out. We listen to each other, and I think we're open-minded to whoever has a good idea. And anyone can have influence on this board of selectmen if they have a good idea. And if you're not making sense, then you're not going to get much support. Because I'm not a yes person. If your idea doesn't make sense, I'm going to tell you it doesn't make sense, because that's the way we should be. We should think for ourselves, and I think that's the board. We do have a board that thinks for themselves. So I'm happy to be part of the Board of Selectmen and happy to be working with a lot of good people in this town. When I was a legislator, we used to battle constantly about budgets and ECS formula and funding. The ECS formula is a political document. It was designed to help the more impoverished communities to get funding. It was a result of a court challenge, and the court challenge was brought by the students, schools, parents, organizations, and the formula was developed around the court challenge that funneled money into communities like Griswold. Kevin mentioned that Griswold, we're not a very wealthy community. We are near the bottom. And the formula was designed to help communities like Griswold. And you need to know that there's a lot of towns in this state that would die to get the money that Griswold was getting. I know the saying you're getting shortchanged, but there's towns in this state that get very little. We get $10 million, I think, out of the state for that. Our education is something like 38% of our budget, maybe a little higher. It used to be higher. Other towns get very little, maybe 5%, 6%, 7%, 8% of their budget. Just keep that in mind. This special priority districts, like Norwich, they get their money because you really don't want to be in that category. You have to have very poor performing students. I don't wanna be necessarily in that category of qualifying for that. But those the inner city schools are generally funded at 100% on this ECS formula, because the needs are so big. Having said all that, well, the wealthy communities have always complained about towns like Griswold getting more money. They get shortchanged. The more wealthier communities have claimed they've been shortchanged as well. It's not as if Griswold's getting just shortchanged. When Jody Rell became governor, she changed and wanted to tweak the formula to give more money to those wealthier communities. And you're gonna remember, there's only so much money. And when you start dividing up that pie, somebody's gonna get shortchanged. The pie hasn't grown very much in years. The pie hasn't grown, so, but it pressure points, political pressure points are put on, especially like City of Hartford, to fund them in many ways, it's a sinkhole. You can throw millions of dollars into those big cities and not really see any effect, any change. Money is, and I don't want to just say, I don't want to say too much about it. Money is not going to solve all the problems that we have in education. It's just not going to do it. People think you throw more money on it, it's going to solve the problem. If that were the case, we'd have solved quite a few of our problems. Some of our problems that are not going to be resolved because we have cultural problems. People don't want to talk about it. See, that's politically incorrect. You can't talk about it. You got to stay away from the cultural issues. But when you have 70% of your children coming from a one-family home, you're going to have problems. And money's not going to solve that problem. That's all I'm going to say.
Steve served 21 years in the legislature. 20%. And you've probably seen it all, Democratic, Republican administrations over the years, different changes in attitude, as you said, with Jody Rell coming in and all that. What do you think? I'm just going to ask you a question directly. This year, you probably took the right year off. This has got to be one of the most challenging budgets that you probably have seen, or maybe you have seen more challenging. How do you think this is going to settle when it's all done, Steve?
Well, it won't be the most challenging. The most challenging was in 2000, when Malloy's first term, when he came in, he had a $3.5 billion deficit. The projected deficit for this coming fiscal year in July 1 is 1.3 billion, followed by another 1.2 billion. And so that first year that Malloy came in was very challenging, and that's when you had a significant hike in all your taxes across the board, and people were voting for tax increases and all that, but this will be a challenging year. The legislature is desperate for finding revenues, and that means possibly more taxes in different forms. They've already canceled the tax cuts that were supposed to be in effect. Malloy has canceled those tax cuts, so those tax cuts are going to cost consumers some money. He did hold harmless the education funding and municipal aid, to his credit, but they're going to be whacked. And let me just tell you what's on the table. There's this uniform car tax. Bristol pays their car tax here, the mill rate, is much lower than it is in Hartford. They want to equalize the car tax statewide. I can tell you that happens. People in Griswold are going to pay more for their car tax. They're just going to pay more. And that money is going to go and be siphoned off and go to the big cities. Okay? That's where that money's going to go. So there's going to be tax increases. It's going to impact on our community. There's basically no big increase in municipal aid. It's like, okay, the pie is only so big, so it's going to have an impact on us, okay? And we're going to pay more. People in this town are going to pay more to the state. And before this is all over, and it isn't any different form, tolls. But there's another one, they're gonna suck out revenues out of us on tolls. That's the proposal to put tolls on the border. That's gonna impact our region more than living in Middletown. Our people go to Rhode Island, they go to Massachusetts, they're gonna put tolls on the border. So you're gonna pay more on a car tax, more on tolls. There's other ways, so, you know. So, now we're gonna ask, this is why it gets back to our own budget process, because now we're gonna, you gotta understand, taxes, they're gonna pay more, I believe this, to the state. How much more they're gonna be willing to give to the town? We have to keep it, it's not just what the town does, it's what the state does. 'Cause you're paying taxes to the state, you're paying taxes to the town. It all impacts on that person. It impacts on me, it impacts on you. So what the state does that can, and I believe it will have hurt us in getting our budget passed, in the town budget.
Because of the fear of that.
Effectively, what the state does is when they don't wanna raise their taxes, they send less to us and say, use the property tax as a default tax. Even though everybody agrees it's the most regressive tax, it punishes people who can least afford it the most. It's what the state does. They use property tax as a default tax. And I've said it when I've been on Board of Ed, I believe there are people in this town that can't pay an extra dollar in property taxes because they're just pushed that tight. But what Steve has just said is, our budgets, even though we're trying to be very conservative, the Board of Finance is gonna, and the Board of Ed is gonna have a very difficult time. Because if Steve's right, they're gonna use property taxes as a default provision to take care of their budget.
Part of the car tax, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, if they do what they say and they set their own car tax rate and the money goes to Hartford, Hartford comes back and doles back out what we get back in the community, which may not be what we already pay.
And that's the point, I'm glad you brought that up, because I'll guarantee this, if that state collects the car tax, we are gonna lose money. Towns like Griswold are gonna lose money, we're gonna have a shortfall. And the shortfall is gonna be picked up by the property tax, people, okay? That's where it's gonna be picked up. And that's why I fought against that uniform car tax. I fought against having, the state, when the state says, oh, don't worry about it, you're not gonna lose any revenue, believe me. Don't buy it. And so that's a scary proposition in and of itself. When they take the money that used to go to the town, okay, and they start saying, we're gonna redistribute back to you, I know it's not gonna happen, because I already told you, the game plan is, on a uniform car tax, is to lower the car tax in the big cities and increase the car tax in communities like us. You know you're losing money right off the bat. And that factors all into our own budget, how we get our budget passed.
I'm glad we saved you almost to the last, because you brought this whole conversation. I started on a positive note. I appreciate your perspective, it is important, you were up there for many years, and I think you know it better than any, so, yes.
To follow up, on a positive side, hopefully is that anywhere anyone can help out with economic development, which is a revenue stream. If we can bring in more business and work as followers together, and when initiatives come forward, come out, evaluate it based on your experience. If you see that you can support it, please come out and support it, because economic development, as it says, is a revenue source. It doesn't solve all the problems, but the more money we can bring in, that's the thing that will help budgets and,
To Steve's point, it's solving our own problems, and that's what we should be doing, so.
right.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. Any other questions from Steve's, perspective? It's a good show, Steve's perspective. Mike's not a Mike.
We've been talking.
Kathy, you've had a busy year or so, huh? Yes.
I'm Kathy Farley, with Star Voters. Basically what we do is register voters, hold elections, last year we had to do 5 referendums. Hopefully this year you guys will pass the budget for the first time.
That's
elections.
always our goal.
I know, but you don't always do it.
No, we don't. You're right.
Elections are expensive, and I don't think anybody realizes how much. The percentage of turnout we get, it costs $8 a vote. Elections cost about $5,000. So if you can minimize that, it'll help, retrain all the